Rain poured relentlessly over torrents, turning the pavement into a glistening, blurred canvas beneath the streetlights. Through the haze of the storm, she appeared, like a ghost summoned from a chapter one had locked away 5 years ago. Her hair, soaked and plastered against her skin, framed her face in a haunting way that pulled me back to a night I had desperately tried to forget. Her dress, drenched and clinging to every curve, evoked memories I thought time had buried. But now, in her hand was a small boy, no older than 3, his tiny fingers entwined tightly with hers. "This is your son," she said, her voice barely audible, swallowed by the roar of the rain. I stood frozen, rooted to the spot, my eyes locked on the small figure she held so protectively. No words came. I stepped aside quietly, letting the silence carry the weight of all the years that absence hadn't healed. 5 years earlier, she had walked away from the life we built together. That night she'd worn a vivid scarlet dress, sleeveless, bare at the back, with a slit running daringly up her thigh. I'd voiced my unease, not because I doubted her loyalty, but because I knew the kind of attention such a dress would draw, the kind she once said she despised. She brushed off my concern with a light laugh, saying, "It's just a party." She never returned. The pain I felt didn't come from broken trust in our bond. We were strong, or so I thought. We shared quiet dinners, late-night talks, her head resting softly on my chest as we dreamed of children we might one day have. But gradually, subtle cracks appeared. Longer showers, late arrivals, eyes avoiding mine. I began to sleep lightly, one ear attuned to every creak of the door, but I stayed silent. Love had taught me patience, but silence sharpened my awareness. She told me it was a women-only birthday party, and that I wasn't invited. Yet, the next day, a co-worker sent me a video. It wasn't a cozy gathering. It was a nightclub, and there she was, perched on another man's lap, laughing in a way that felt utterly foreign. I watched the clip once, then deleted it. Truth doesn't always need reliving. When she stumbled in at dawn, reeking of liquor and lies, I didn't shout. I brewed coffee, handed her a mug, and said simply, "It's finished." She called me dramatic, accused me of controlling behavior, and I left. No farewells, no explanations, just silence. I severed every tie, changed my number, moved to a new city. The foundation we built shattered that night, but I gathered the shards, keeping the sharpest close to my chest. I rebuilt my life alone, new job, new routines, just me, the gym, and my thoughts. No relationships, no turmoil, just peace. Before leaving, I took one precaution. I preserved my future. Betrayal teaches you to prepare for battles you never anticipated, especially from someone who once whispered forever promises. 3 years later, a letter arrived. No sender's address, only a photograph of a baby with curly hair and hazel eyes like mine. I didn't react. I filed it away. Then came a flood of emails, apologies tinged with desperation, begging for forgiveness. I ignored them all. She didn't deserve my attention. But curiosity gnawed at me, so I hired a private investigator. The report was almost poetic. She'd lost her job, moved back with her mother, and the man from the nightclub had vanished before her pregnancy was even visible. She tried to find me a year later, likely as a fallback, unaware of the man I'd become. I planned carefully. First, a discreet DNA test. The investigator had managed to retrieve a pacifier from a park encounter. The results were 99.9% conclusive. The child was mine. Second, I hired the state's top family lawyer, not to wrest custody, but to protect myself. She wanted my guilt. I wanted her to face the consequences of her choices. Third, I set the trap. I let her find me, and there she was at my door, holding our son like a shield. "I need help," she whispered, voice trembling. I looked at the boy, quiet, observant, with eyes that mirrored mine. She spilled out her apologies, admitting loneliness, pleading that our son needed a father, claiming her love for me never faded. I let her words fall like gasoline, dangerous if ignited by even the smallest spark. Then I handed her a folder, custody documents, visitation schedules, terms I crafted months ago. "This isn't reconciliation," I said quietly. "This is structure." Tears streamed down her face as she protested, insisting I had no right to do this. I smiled faintly. You lost those rights the night you walked away in that dress. This wasn't revenge, nor was it about inflicting pain. It was about holding her accountable, showing that betrayal leave a long shadow. The following week, I met my son properly. We went to the zoo. I read to him and watched his laughter light up the world in a way that reminded me of who I was before trust was shattered. I didn't share the full story. Not yet. That truth would come when he was ready. Not out of bitterness, but for honesty's sake. As for her, she receives monthly updates, formal and personal, to my lawyer's emails, photos of our son's milestones. She lost a man who would have fought fiercely for her. Now, she faces the consequences of the choices she made, while I move forward with a son who remains the brightest piece of my fractured past.